Ladies and gentlemen, it's amazing when folks go to Africa from Europe and China, they get treated well. But when those Africans go to live in Europe or go to live in China, they get treated badly. Well, there's a recent report that came out that said that anti Black racism is on the rise in these different EU nations. And almost half of those of African descent in the EU, they live in the EU, said they have been verbally and physically threatened. So, the European Union Agency for Fundamental Rights, short for FRA, says its African migrants, both first and second generation, claim they have been verbally harassed and threatened in the EU. Plus, say they worry about their safety. Moreover, throughout Europe, they endure discrimination in the workplace and when they're looking for a home. People of African descent are routinely met with unfair treatment and bias when seeking jobs and homes. So they say that these are not isolated incidents, they are happening all across Europe. Wherever they're living, it's tons and tons of anti Black racism. So, according to The Guardian, the FRA poll 6,752 people of African descent in 13 EU nations and found that 47% of those queried had experienced discrimination, up from 39% that felt the same way during the last Being Black in the EU survey was taken in 2016. Those polled live in places like Austria, Belgium, Denmark, Finland, France, Germany, Ireland, Italy, Luxembourg, Poland, Portugal, Spain, and Sweden. So they said they've been heavily discriminated in those countries, and all of those countries are part of the EU. Let us say this again: racism has no place in Europe. Yeah, I wish y'all would stop saying that. I wish y'all would stop saying that in America. I wish y'all would just stop saying that. This entire planet is permeated in racism, and you're not helping the situation when you keep saying racism has no place here. Racism has no place there. It means nothing. The words are hollow, they have no meaning. You can't run a racist world for centuries and then come back and tell us uh, racism has no place here. That's stupidity. So, anyway, they're saying being confronted with the true scale of racism is both shocking and shameful. These findings should be a wake up call for action on equality and inclusion of people of African descent. Those are just conversation pieces. If you notice, they never go that extra mile to do these things. It's just a bunch of chattering and nothing more than that. So, in the workplace, the report said people of African descent were employed at about the same rate as the overall population. However, they were more likely to be overqualified for their jobs or hired on a temporary basis. Nearly one in three said they faced discrimination when looking for employment, and almost one in four reported discrimination at the workplace. And I really believe it's higher than that. I do. The housing market represents a problem too. This is according to the survey. One in four respondents said private property owners didn't rent to them because of their racial or ethnicity origin. Much of the discrimination remains invisible. Incidents of racial discrimination, racist harassment, and violence often go unreported. denying victims the support they are legally entitled to receive from the institutions meant to protect them. But see, that's the thing. That's really the problem here in America. Yeah, you got all kinds of things on the books, but here in America, what they do is they try to talk about what's on the books, but when it has to turn into real action, that's where they drop the ball every single time. So you want to give the appearance that you're not a certain way, but actually you are. All right. So they look at George Floyd as a major milestone back in 2020 as an immediate response to the killing of George Floyd. The mass protests ignited. The EU adopted the first ever anti racism action plan from 2020 to 2025, addressing racism head on. It serves to tackle individual attitudes and behaviors. So, yeah, well, you might have that on the books, but you enforcing it, that's a whole different story. I mean, that's the same thing they do here in America. They got everything under the sun on the books, but when it comes down to enforcing it, it's a whole different issue. I mean, let's face it, y'all, nothing is going to be right as long as these folks are in charge. You can count on racism being here and all kinds of disparities because this is who they are. This is their culture to be this way. So it's not going to change. When the faces of the population change, that's when it will change. That's when it will change because everything is going to shift. Even politics are going to shift because it's not going to be enough of them in politics to hold things down. And then you got the ones that walk around here, they're so arrogant, they'll tell you, well, even if we're small, we'll still have all the money and power. Actually, no, you won't. As the population shift, the things that you are doing now and the places you are at the top, that's going to shift too. You're not going to be able to hang on to it. You're not. I think that we'll have the money and all the power. That's just fantasy talk. When the population shift, all of these big, powerful positions that you're in, that's going to shift too. You're not going to keep all these people down while you just permeate at the top. It's just not going to happen. And I think a lot of people have already had enough, and you're getting a taste of it. You're seeing it. People are not listening to America like they used to. People don't respect America like they used to. If you notice, a lot of these countries are not afraid of America that might have been afraid a few decades back. Well, they're already showing you. They're already showing you they're ready to write you off right now. So, y'all, please tell me what you think about this video. I'm not surprised. Isn't that where racism originated? Right over there in the good old European nations. So, I mean, come on, y'all. It's not shocking that it's still there now. It's still here in America. So, why would it go anywhere in the EU? And actually, it's not just Africans, even Americans that have lived over in Europe have experienced the same kind of racism as well. So, y'all, please tell me what you think about this video. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.